Hi again, everyone, and welcome to Badger Breakdown, brought to you by US Cellular. I'm Mike Lucas from UWBadgers.com. I'm joined by Matt Lepay, the voice of the Badgers. Now, don't be fooled by the gaudy color schemes of Maryland, because in those uniforms, there's some really skilled athletes, especially on offense.
Yeah, those helmets, they kind of look like the crash test dummies, but they're not dumb. They're good players, and on offense, they do a lot of different stuff with a quarterback who leads the team in rushing, C.J. Brown. But they'll show a lot of different looks. In some ways, it's kind of the same story, different week, but in others, I know Gary Anderson has talked about it, they do a little bit more than most in the looks that they'll give you. C.J.
Brown is a good runner, as Matt just said. He's the equivalent of a tailback, but his play fakes are as good as anyone in the country.
Yeah, every now and then in football, you hear the term ball handling, which obviously normally you hear in basketball, but he carries out the fakes very well. When you just look back at some of their games, the cameras are faked out, and he's good. Now, is he overly flashy? No, but he's very effective. He's had, I think, 8 games in his career where he's rushed for 100 yards. He had 99 on the ground last week against Iowa, but when they throw, or when he throws, there's pretty good weapons to throw too, led by, of course, Stefon Diggs, who's one of the better receivers, one of the better players I think that fans are going to get to know this weekend.
Well, when we were in Chicago for the Big Ten meetings, the Maryland people were really banging the drums for Stefon Diggs, and now having gotten an opportunity to see him play in this league, you realize he's a game breaker.
Yeah, he is. 9 receptions in the game against Iowa last week, leading kick returner in the Big Ten Conference. He's not imposing. He's 6 feet tall, weighs about 185, but they say he has really large, strong hands, and that's been a big asset for him. They have some other weapons, Deion Long as well, a couple other guys in the receiving game, but it seems to start with Diggs.
Where have we heard this before? What Maryland's going to do, or going to try to do on offense, is get the ball in space and force Wisconsin to make those tackles.
That's the part where it's same story, different week. Talking with a couple guys, Conrad Zebzewski, I asked him specifically, is this kind of same story, different week with the offense? And he said in a lot of ways it is. That's the nature of how a lot of teams, maybe not every team, but how a lot of teams play at the college level especially. They try to get you in space, try to see if you can make a play one-on-one. And you know, Iowa had trouble doing that last week. A lot of teams have. This is a Maryland team that scores regularly. They're on a pretty good run now, scoring 24 points or more. I think it's 7 straight games, a school record. So while they're still trying to get better on the defensive side, and they are slowly but surely, but on offense, they've been a tough team to slow down.
And they can dial up those points because they get great contributions from their special teams.
They do. And again, this is where kick coverage is always really important, but it's going to be more so for the Badgers this week. As we mentioned, Diggs leads the Big Ten in kick return yardage. William Likely, their cornerback, is their punt return specialist. He leads the Big Ten in punt return. So the field position game, which as we have seen in the Northwestern game a few weeks ago, it really worked against Wisconsin. For a time in the Illinois game, it worked against Wisconsin. Badgers got behind in the Illinois game, obviously lost the Northwestern game. That's a thing you want to watch here in the game against the Terrapins, the field position game, because the Terps do a very good job at tilting the field through their special teams.
Melvin Gordon didn't take the field last Saturday, but take it for what it's worth. He's gained a little ground in that Heisman poll,
which is really impressive when you look. Wisconsin is not in the top 25, and what's been one of the formulas of really being in the mix to get an invite to New York, your team's got to be really good, championship contender. Now the Badgers still can be, obviously it's in their hands, but right now they're not in the top 25. But I think people all across the country have recognized, well, when you're rushing for 175 yards a game, you probably ought to be recognized, and rightfully so, Melvin Gordon is.
And with the bye, you're wondering now, like I'm sure a lot of people, how is Wisconsin going to manage the quarterbacks?
Yeah, it sounds like we'll see both once again with Joel Stave and Tanner McAvoy. And you know, we saw both in the Illinois game, although we only saw Tanner for the one possession, which started well, looked promising, and then bogged down, and they missed a long field goal try. That's right now with this team where it is. It's a similar story, different week. Still trying to develop a system where both can be used to their utmost strengths. And when Joel is in there, or even Tanner when they want to throw the ball, still trying to contribute, trying to find consistent threats down the field. Alex Erickson's very good at what he does. Jordan Frederick's very good at what he does. Sam Arneson's very good at what he does. But I think they're now looking for, I know Coach Anderson has talked about it, for these younger guys. What's that line, freshmen are no longer freshmen? Well, he says this is the week when they have to be no longer freshmen. So we'll see what some of these younger guys, not just the freshmen, you know, the other guys who've been around and haven't had a lot of statistics yet, we'll see if they can start to take a step in the right direction.
It's homecoming weekend in Madison. It's always special for a lot of different people, many people seeing the Badgers for one and only one time this year, and it will be for this game, and some very prominent alums will make their way back to this city and this campus, including a couple of defensive players who are scheduled to return. One, Chris Borland, and the other, Tim Crumry.
Yeah, that'd be
they could play right now. Let him go out there, practice, and play.
You know they want to.
Yes.
You know Crumry. You've known him since he was here as a player. That's like 30-some years ago.
Yeah, he's still ready.
Yeah, he's still ready to go.
He'll bash faces.
Got to get in the Hall of Fame, by the way. Got to keep working. He's a college football Hall of Famer who's not in the Hall of Fame yet. He's one of those guys. It seems like we're kind of going off topic here, but in the college football Hall of Fame, it seems like there are guys who slipped through the cracks for whatever reason. He's one of them. The guy was ridiculous. We know he was ridiculous with the Bengals. He's pretty good here too.
Had he played at Michigan or Ohio State or a more prominent school, brand school, he'd already be in the Hall of Fame.
I think, yeah, and with television coverage, not being then what it is now, it works against him. But it'll be good to see him. Be good to see Chris Borland, two guys who know how to represent the heart and soul of Badger football.
It'll be good to see this team get back on track with 6 games remaining in the regular season, and now if they win out, they get to go to Indy.
Yeah, this is the stretch now. They've had their 2 byes. This is the longest stretch they'll have, and as you said, they don't need anybody's help right now. And as long as they keep winning, they won't. You mentioned it's homecoming, supposed to be great weather, so hopefully a perfect atmosphere for Badger football.
For Matt Lepay, I'm Mike Lucas. Thanks for watching Badger Breakdown, brought to you by US Cellular.